Hello and welcome to another episode of Genysism Complains About a Star Trek Game Trailer. Now, you might have missed my first one a couple years ago for Star Trek Infinite, a game that took the framework of Stellaris and somehow managed to suck all of the engagement right out of it. I aired my concerns back then on the channel The Hero's Hideaway, which was supposed to be a partnership project that fell victim to the game of life and was ultimately abandoned. But now, we have Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown. First, I should probably mention that Voyager is all of the special to me. I was born just a few months before the show's premiere in January of 1995, so I literally grew up alongside the show. The adventures of Captain Janeway and her crew are so foundational to who I am that you can see their influence in my channel's branding and in the person that I am today. Make no mistake, I am this game's prime target audience. So let's get the good things out of the way first. I do like this trailer. The CG model of Voyager looks great and gets me pretty hyped. The other ship models and space environments look solid, nothing groundbreaking, but this isn't a AAA title, so it deserves some slack. It was great to see the Borg Cube, the fake USS Dauntless, and the USS Equinox. And yet, the cracks started to show, and they started showing pretty quickly. To me, this looks very similar to an ad for Star Trek Fleet Command, the mobile gacha that's been around since 2018. I remember when that game first came out. I was excited to explore, even creating the Planet Express alliance within a few days of launch. Come to think about it, I wonder whatever happened to that group. Anyway, Fleet Command is not a good game. It's a mobile-first gacha built on pulling for officers, or rather, shards of officers. You need a bunch just to unlock one, and then countless more to make them even remotely useful. It also limits you to 2 simultaneous upgrades, which can take days to complete. Unless you want to pay real money to bypass the wait. In classic mobile game fashion, it's designed to get you to pay rather than spend a week on just a couple of basic upgrades. With that Fleet Command connection now burned in my mind, I saw the word cycle and everything changed. Such an innocent word, cycle, but I could already see its potential. How many real-world minutes go into one in-game cycle? How much money would you spend to speed that up? And then I saw rooms taking multiple cycles to build or upgrade. Now let me be clear. I am fully aware that my red alert sensors might be reading too much into this trailer, actively looking for something to dislike. But after a discussion in a Discord server with several other Star Trek gamers, we quickly discovered that this developer is primarily known for mobile games. Well, shit. Suddenly, other things started to click into place within that mobile game framework. In the floor plan shots, you can spot Arturis from the Voyager episode Hope and Fear. Seeing him as a crew member is an interesting choice, and it seems irrelevant until you remember Fleet Command and its officer shards. Arturis is a perfect candidate for a gotcha pull. And he wasn't the only one. In the crew manifest a bit later, we see Pelk, the Malon freighter crewman, and even the full Klingon version of B'Elanna from the episode Faces in Season 1. These aren't standard crew members, they are unique, memorable characters perfect for a collect-them-all shard system. The crew selection screen in the transporter room is also a direct visual lift from how Fleet Command presents its officer lottery boxes. Seeing the build options for the mess hall sparked concern too. I'm hoping it's just a resource management feature, but I wouldn't be surprised if the different types of rations are just another currency designed to be exchanged for your real money. Then there's the ship combat. It just looks like an auto-battler. You might be able to choose a target and when to use one of 3 abilities, but that's really about it. As flawed as the 16-year-old Star Trek Online MMO is, and dear god I keep forgetting how old it is still arguably the best Star Trek game on the market. A huge part of its appeal is directly controlling your ship in 3D space, choosing every move and every weapon blast. Watching a veteran STO player in a hectic fight, well, if you didn't have epilepsy before, you might afterwards, as several powerful abilities are unleashed on their enemies. This, by comparison, looks hollow. I also started to notice a classic mobile game trope. The cutscenes look great, with far better CG than the actual gameplay. This isn't totally unheard of, but mobile games are infamous for using flashy cinematics to distract from how cheap and uninspired their core gameplay actually looks. At this point, you can probably understand why this whole thing is screaming low-budget crap to me. But there is a glimmer of hope. The part of the trailer that got people most excited was the image of Tuvix. That ethical dilemma is the mark of a quality episode, still debated by fans and newcomers almost 30 years later. With this game's emphasis on letting you play out these iconic on-screen scenarios in new ways, The premise is genuinely fascinating. And with this shot, you might be able to end the series before it begins by going home rather than destroying the caretaker's array. The possibilities are, quite frankly, endless. If the story and the choices are there, I can overlook any graphical shortcomings and any inconveniences by the cycle system. I make no secret of my love for Nintendo games, which are generally well polished but rarely graphical powerhouses. I play them because the gameplay is compelling. If this game can deliver on its core premise, arguably unlike the show it's based on, it has a real chance to be a great experience. And yes, I said unlike the show. Voyager might still be my favorite, but its original premise was about a Starfleet and a Maquis crew that were stranded together, forced to integrate to survive. That entire storyline was dropped almost immediately at the end of the pilot, almost disappearing entirely by the end of Season 1. This game has a chance to actually explore the tension and resource scarcity the show largely abandoned. And I want to be clear. Just because my last 2 videos on this topic, Infinite and now Across the Unknown, have been negative doesn't mean I'm opposed to Star Trek games. I am desperate for a game that truly captures the spirit of the series. What this all boils down to is my fear that this is yet another potential disappointment for Star Trek fans like myself. A friend of mine argues that FTL, Faster Than Light, is the best Star Trek game that isn't a Star Trek game. While I'm not fully convinced it's a perfect one-to-one, I started to see his point. You're a scrappy ship on an urgent mission, managing resources, exploring the unknown, and making tough choices at every turn. I really want a new Star Trek game to play that isn't Star Trek Online, and I would absolutely love for this video to age like milk. Please let me come back and make a follow-up happily admitting that I was wrong. But for now, I'm worried I'm going to be right yet again. And as for Star Trek Online, it's old, it's tired, and it needs someone to replace it so it can finally learn to drive.